Hi there, everybody. You've got the management, and I am here to do part 2 of the Forrest Fenn box poetry analysis. Just to clear up any confusion, this is not meant to be a poetry analysis of the Forrest Fenn poem that he put in The Thrill of the Chase. This is to dissect and draw correlations between that poem, but to help find the treasure for the Forrest Fenn box that is part of the John Collins Black There's Treasure Inside treasure hunt. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so here's what we know about the original Forrest Fenn poem. There were 24 lines, 6 stanzas, and Forrest Fenn himself said there were 9 total clues. There are multiple theories about what the 9 total clues are. Again, this is not trying to solve the Forrest Fenn poem. This is for John Collins Black, There's Treasure Inside Forrest Fenn box. So there's 2 things that we know. We know that John Collins Black loves his themes. And 2, we know his poem is an ode to Forrest Fenn and his hunt. Specifically, the time that John Collins Black spent searching for Forrest Fenn's treasure. Here's my main theory. There are 9 clues in the JCB poem, just like there were in the Forrest Fenn poem. I am not going to read this out loud. You can read it yourself. Pause the video if you need to. Here's what we do know. I am not a poetry expert, but there is an inconsistent rhyming scheme. I did call the only poetry expert that I know, and she's the one that turned me on to it. Normally, you would see an A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, A, B, A, B. That sort of rhyming scheme wouldn't add up for this poem in particular. You wouldn't normally go that high up in the alphabet without returning back to the beginning at some point. So here they are in comparison. So you see 5 different columns of things. The lines of the poem, the actual poem, the rhyming scheme for both poems, if the rhyming scheme were turned into numeric values. The final column is the total syllables in each line. If you're comparing the 2 original poems, none of those things line up to be apples to apples. We do know that it is a 6 stanza, 24 line both times. So that's where I'm getting the idea that the 9 clues are going to match up as well. It just so happens that the words that are in colors are the words that are the same words in the same place across both poems. Now, there is a slight variation in line 9 from here and from there. And then line 21, the line is sort of reversed. Those being exceptions to the rule, obviously. I do not like making exceptions when it comes to solving a puzzle. You have to play by the same rules the whole time. But who knows what the actual rules of treasure hunting are? Not me. I just like things to line up nice and neat. I'm going to assume that if there's intent behind something, it's going to be applied equally throughout. Something that could be seen as in common, but it's not necessarily, as they both use a very loose form of iambic pentameter. Shakespeare was famous for the iambic pentameter, an iamb being a meter with a stressed and unstressed syllable pattern. It's not easy to say. And then pentameter being a set of 5. So a set of 5 amps across a line. It pretty much applies, but you can see with the syllable values at the end of each line in yellow that there's no way to make it apply when you're not looking in multiples of 5. Another thing that stands out is that the last stanza of each poem shifts from the I perspective to the I'm sharing it with the audience perspective. Kind of like how John Collins Black always says, our treasure. He's including the reader in the message. In part 1 of this analysis, which I'll link below, I called out how to use a 1-2 rhyming pattern like he has throughout most of these lines it's got to be intentional in order to be able to include clues and still maintain a rhyme. Right here, I'm going to go through and try to draw correlations in the sets of rhymes between each of the stanzas. In stanza 1, we have know and loads, which kind of rhymes, inside and tried, which rhymes a little bit better, but not exactly. I think the importance, because line 5 is begin it where cool water flows, which is step 1 of the solve. We'll get to that in a minute. That the first stanza is kind of an introduction to the theme. As I said, I think this is John Collins saying, I'm starting where I thought Forrest Fenn's treasure was, and I'm moving on. So he's got a journey, a location, a reason, and it was not there, although I tried. What is the it in this? We all assume it's treasure, right? If you don't assume it's treasure, I would love to know what the it is for you. In stanza 2, we have begin it where cool water flows and follow through the canyon round. Take in the rolling highs and lows, pass by a place where once was brown. Brown was a huge key piece of the Forrest Fenn poem. It's been said, but it can't go without saying enough times. If you don't have step 1 of your solve, everything after that is not going to line up. So the important piece of information out of lines 5 and 7 is cool water flows, and then he's used rolling highs and lows, although it's very descriptive in order to support the beginning of the search. I'm not saying that the supportive rhymes are unimportant. I'm saying they're probably less important. Brown was 100% a very important piece of the Forrest Fenn poem. Who, what, where is brown in this poem? Follow through the canyon round. Obviously, canyons aren't always round. I think this is an allegorical way of just follow through the canyon path. If you've ever done any canyoneering, you're kind of weaving in and out and you're not really sure where you're going. Hopefully you know where you're going, but it's a little blind. So for the next stanza, 9 is supportive of line 11 and 10 is supportive of line 12. From here, you are more on your own. Doesn't really say much. You're on your own to begin with. The compass points now towards the home of point and tree and seeing eye. Drawing nigh references the Forrest Fenn poem, but the unique thing here is the of point and tree and seeing eye. Lines 13 and 15 are both repetitive from the Forrest Fenn poem, but also I think they're independently important. A thinker's stone is all you need. I think the most important thing in that line is thinker's stone and what that could possibly mean. And line 16, I'm pretty sure that seat is an important word there because in order to rhyme with need, it could have been very easy to come up with a rhyme that ends with seed. In the next stanza, line 17 is supportive of 19 and 18 is supportive of 20. Nestled here, it's all in dream. Anywhere in nature can be described as a dreamscape. I've other treasures left to hide. Pretty unimportant. We know that there's more than one treasure. I'll miss the golden bending stream. That one's very descriptive and specific. But I must go back to my ride. Line 20 is tying back into the beginning of the poem. Line 21, this is the line that's reversed. So listen well and hear me all. Versus, so hear me all and listen good. I'm not sure if so hear me all and listen good is proper English, but this is where he begins to speak to the reader and include the reader in a story and acknowledge the presence of the reader. Line 22 is supportive of line 24, and line 23 is independent. Your efforts will be worth the high. So high in this line could be an actual height of elevation, right? You'll bring it back full weight and dry, full weight being a whole unit. If you can mark warm water's halt, again, is more descriptive than supportive and will draw you towards the conclusion of a solve. And that wraps it up. It's not as detailed as I would like to be. I hope I discover more and then I can do a surprise part 3. But as for now, I think part 2 is going to wrap up all the theories that I currently have. Don't forget to check out my other videos on the other treasure boxes from There's Treasure Inside. And also my Gumroad, themanagementAT.gumroad.com, where you can download docs, etc. that might help you along the way with your treasure hunt and speed things up a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get updates when new videos are posted. But for now, that's all I have. I hope everyone has a great day and enjoy your hunt.